So the other thing we can do for you today is we can talk. We can, if you have some ideas of how we can collaborate and what we can do to help each other, we can talk. We can provide you with advice as to how you can access our services and talk about where we're moving in the future. Some of the things we will be doing soon. We are going to have access to I think 4 or 5 terabytes of air photo imagery from right here at DNR. DNR flies the province. They fly 1/10 of the province every year, so over 10 years they have a complete coverage. In 2003 they started creating digital orthophotos, and so we'll have that complete set of digital orthophotos that range from 2003 to 2012, and we'll have a complete update of our digital ortho imagery that we can make available through GeoNB. This slide here, this peak back here, this is November 2009. That is when we made the GeoNB map viewer available to the public. And over here, this is 2.5 million. That's 2.5 million hits. We didn't have 2.5 million visitors. We didn't even have 100,000 visitors. But when you pan a map, and I don't know if you've used Google Maps, you'll notice that when the map draws, it refreshes in little squares. Well, we do the same thing. We pre-cache, we pre-generate all the maps and store them as tiny little squares, and then when someone asks for a map, we just grab the squares off the server and throw them up on your web browser, and you have the illusion of panning a map very quickly and speedily. Well, every single one of those map tiles, when it draws, that's a hit on my server. So you pan the map, depending on how big your monitor or your browser window is, you pan the map once, and that might be 12 hits. So very quickly, you can grade a couple thousand hits on my server. And some days I just sit in the office and pan the maps.
You don't have an automatic pan? You can put that rolling and then go have your coffee.
But this graph here, we can track our internal traffic, which is from the GNB employees, the Government of New Brunswick employees. And that's the red line across the bottom here. It's fairly steady. And then the green line is all of the traffic coming in from the internet, so everybody else basically. And then the blue line at the top is just a combination of the two. As I said, this was the peak when we launched. This peak here, anybody get an idea what that's about? Anybody from New Brunswick here?
What year?
Well, that's just, this is basically from January to now. I think this data point here was last Sunday.
The wetland.
Exactly. The wetlands policy. Anybody hear what New Brunswick did with their wetlands policy? They really didn't change the wetlands policy. They just created new maps to help people find where the wetlands were. And they were a little overzealous in identifying wetlands. And a lot of people were very excited about wetlands for a few weeks. It was a very good promotion for GeoNB. Lots more people are coming to look at the maps, and they were looking at a lot of maps. It was quite stressful for my former co-workers over at Department of Environment. Before I came to Service New Brunswick, I was GIS manager at the Department of Environment, and it was very stressful for them, but good for us. And this is basically the same data. Instead of showing the hits per week, this is the total number of visitors per week. And we peaked at around almost 14,000 visitors in 1 week when that wetlands policy was going on. Of course, we've dropped a bit, but actually I've got another data point on here from this week that I haven't had it, and we're coming back up again. But DNR just made an announcement about Crown Water Reserve along a lot of New Brunswick water courses, and we're not sure if that announcement is triggering some traffic in or not. Haven't had any bad press about it yet. So, I don't know, I can do a demo. It's, I'm sure all of you have seen a map viewer. This is our map viewer. I just used an iframe widget with the Google homepage to embed my map viewer in here. And this is fully functioning, except it's just a little too small to see the whole thing. Actually, let's do a Google search with you.
Yeah, I'm on it actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we actually had a problem with the number one hit on the Google search because it was just going to the route. It wasn't giving the full path, and we did make some changes. And I'll do a live test here, see if it works. Oh, there we go, it works now. For a while there, when you hit the very first hit on Google, if you tried to follow that, you'd end up at a page that said under construction for some reason. I'm not a web developer. I don't understand all those problems, but we got it fixed up. So you can see the very fast, very speedy map display, and very similar to a Google interface. You double click to zoom in. If you hold down the shift button, you can drag and draw a rectangle to zoom in, and here we are at the forestry complex. Switch over to the aerial map. We can search the parcel database. I usually ask people, do you know your anybody know their PID number?
What's the PID number?
Property identifier, unique ID.
I don't own land, so I
There you go. But I always know my PID number. So we can do a quick search. We can also search by community name. We can search by provincial park. We can search by PID, which I just showed you. And we also have an address search tool as well. So one nice thing that we've been able to do with the map viewer is we're supporting Department of Environment with two widgets, or two tools. One is for flood information. Let me take you back down to the river, and we can see the flood polygons come in here. And it's nice with the air photo in the background. You can really see what will be damaged. We can adjust the transparency on this to highlight the flood polygons a little more.
The flood stuff you only have in Fredericton.
Pardon
The
me?
St. John River. You don't have the floods like on the west side, on the coast?
No, we don't have, this data was basically, it's inland flood for the river valleys. We don't have any inundation maps or flood risk areas for the coastal areas. But the other tool we had we collaborated with the Department of Environment on was the Wetlands tool, which generated all the excitement. And so you can see the wetland polygons. The yellow ones are the provincially significant wetlands, which are typically in the St. John River Valley, and as well the coastal marshes that were identified in our coastal mapping. Identified by our coastal mapping that was done back in '96. Those are also considered provincially significant, but further inland, these brown polygons are what they're calling regulated wetlands, and before they revised their mapping, the combination of those polygons covered 18% of the province. So it got a lot of people excited, a lot of municipalities were excited because they thought they had land that was free for development, or available for development, but then when the maps came up, a lot of it was apparently covered by wetland. So
So was that an interpretation error, was it?
well, they were using mapped wetlands, wetlands that were identified, from aerial photography, but then they were also using the wet areas mapping that was created by Dr. Paul Arp at the University of New Brunswick, which is really a model of where the water table intersects the terrain, or is very close to the surface of the terrain. So, it is a good tool, but perhaps not a good tool for regulating wetlands. I know it's used heavily in the forest industry when they're building forest roads. They want to avoid these wet areas because it's a lot more expensive to put a road through them.
That's the water table.
Oh, yeah,
Exactly.
you were talking about, yeah.
Exactly.
So they weren't ground truth. They weren't ground truth, it was just based on modeling?
Yes, it's just based on model. Yeah.